The universe, in its vastness and complexity, can often feel like an unsolvable riddle, a puzzle with pieces scattered across galaxies. We search for meaning, purpose, and an end to suffering, but what if the answer isn't a grand, complex solution, but a simple cosmic joke? What if the world, with all its perceived chaos and pain, is not a problem to be solved, but an illusion to be recognized? The concept of Maya, the ego's role in perpetuating the illusion, and the path to awakening to the punchline are all drawing upon insights from various spiritual traditions and teachers. Our senses paint a vivid picture of a concrete, objective world, but many spiritual traditions argue that this picture is a cleverly constructed illusion. This isn't to say that the world doesn't exist, but rather that our perception of it is distorted by our minds. The Hindu concept of Maya describes the world as an illusion, a veil that obscures the true reality of Brahman, the ultimate, unchanging reality. Our minds, with their constant stream of thoughts and judgments, create a false sense of separation and solidity, leading us to believe in the reality of our individual experiences. Ramana Maharshi, a prominent 20th century sage, likened the world to a dream. Just as the events in a dream seem real while we are dreaming, so too do the events in our waking life. The only difference is the duration. Waking is long, and a dream is short, but the underlying nature of both experiences is the same, a projection of the mind. Sailor Bob Adamson suggests that the world is an appearance in the dreaming mind. Cities, people, and mountains seem to be, but they are appearances within consciousness. The key takeaway is that our perception of reality is not a direct reflection of what is out there, but a construction of our minds. This constructed reality is so convincing that we rarely question its validity, leading us to become trapped in the illusion. At the heart of this illusion lies the ego, that persistent sense of I that claims ownership of our thoughts, feelings, and experiences. The ego is not an inherent part of our being, but a mental construct, an idea of ourselves that we cling to for a sense of identity and security. The ego is the thought I. I am happy, I am sad, I did this, I did that. These sentences reinforce the ego's sense of self. However, everything is essentially egoless. Mountains, trees, and the sun have no ego, meaning they have no existence. The ego is a false world. The ego preserves its imaginary self by controlling all thinking. It uses thoughts, ideas, beliefs, and opinions to prevent you from discovering your true self. The release of the ego is scary because it is death. Nobody wants it. The ego's primary function is to maintain its own existence, and it does this by creating a sense of separation. It convinces us that we are individual, isolated beings, distinct from the rest of the world. This sense of separation is the root of all suffering because it leads to fear, anxiety, and the constant need to protect and defend our limited self. If the world is an illusion and the ego is its architect, then what is the punchline of this cosmic joke? It's the realization that there is nothing to find, nothing to attain, and no one to be. In other words, the punchline of the cosmic joke is that nothing has ever happened. There is no punchline. When they finally got it, many seekers have laughed, including Buddha. That is the cosmic joke. Simplicity is the most surprising aspect for most people who see through the dream. It is not a complex philosophical concept, but a simple, direct recognition of what is already here. It's the understanding that the one who is seeking has no real existence. It is a phantom, a fantasy. It's the sudden awareness that the separate self we've been struggling to maintain is nothing more than an illusion, a character in a play. So how does one arrive at this earth-shattering realization? The key is self-inquiry, a process of turning inward and questioning the very foundations of our reality. Ramana Maharshi advocated for self-inquiry as the direct path to self-realization. By constantly asking, "Who am I?" we can begin to unravel the layers of identification that obscure our true nature. Transcend the I, and the world will go because the world is attached to the I. Merely realize, to whom does this come? I feel this. Where does the I come from? And you will realize the I doesn't exist, and if the I doesn't exist, the condition doesn't exist, because the condition is part of the I. Self-inquiry is not about finding intellectual answers, but about directly experiencing the absence of the separate self. It's about seeing through the ego's tricks and recognizing the underlying awareness that is always present. Awakening to the cosmic joke doesn't mean abandoning the world or retreating into a cave. Instead, it means seeing the world with new eyes, recognizing its true nature as an expression of the divine. Transforming one's outlook as of the nature of knowledge, the world will be seen as real, being nothing but the supreme reality, which is of the nature of knowledge. If you understand who you are, you will understand what the world is too, and you will love the world as Brahman, as the self. The world becomes a reflection of yourself when you understand that you are the self, an embodiment of love. When we see the world as Brahman, we no longer cling to our individual desires and fears. We recognize that everything is interconnected and that our true self is not limited to our physical body or personal history. This understanding brings a sense of peace, compassion, and effortless joy. A common misconception is that we must fix the world, alleviate suffering, and create a perfect society. While compassion and action are important, trying to fix the world from a place of separation is ultimately futile because it reinforces the illusion. The world has always been here and will always be here. Instead of trying to fix it, focus on setting yourself free. Transforming this world into a heaven devoid of misery and making man immortal are not things that have to be newly done. Even now, the world is truly nothing other than Brahman, the blissful supreme reality, and man is in his true nature nothing other than self, the immortal spirit. You cannot change the world before changing yourself. To change the picture, you merely change the film, and you do not attack the cinema screen. The real work lies in transforming our own perception, in recognizing the illusion for what it is. From this place of understanding, our actions will naturally be more compassionate, effective, and aligned with the truth. Only if we start to see the world for what it is, a stage, a play, or a dream, can we then realize the impermanent and illusory nature of our experiences. The world appears like a panorama in a dream, with an apparent objectivity and independent existence due to ignorance of the self and consequent obsession with obtrusive thoughts. The world is a stage on which a world drama is being played. The quality of the performance is all that matters. Life is an arena, and we are all actors wearing the costume of the body-mind. Even the desire to stop playing the role is merely another orphan thought. You have got the mask on, and you're playing the role. In essence, you are the star of the show, the Academy Award winner. We are actors in a play, each with a unique role to play. We can choose to take our roles seriously, becoming entangled in the drama and suffering the consequences. Or we can recognize the play for what it is, a temporary and ultimately meaningless performance. The cosmic joke also reveals the illusory nature of duality, the belief that there is a fundamental separation between good and evil, right and wrong, pleasure and pain. There is no evil, there is no suffering. The joy of living is paramount. Nature is neither pleasant nor painful. Pain and pleasure are in the mind. We imagine that it is both necessary and possible for them to bring about a radical reformation in the manner in which the world had been created and was being governed by God. These distinctions are creations of the mind, not reflections of reality. In truth, everything is interconnected and part of the same underlying reality. This doesn't mean that we should condone harmful behavior, but that we should approach the world with compassion and understanding, recognizing the unity that underlies all apparent differences. Finally, the realization of the cosmic joke leads to a surrender to the present moment, a recognition that life is spontaneously happening. There is no doer, no controller, and no need to strive or resist. What is wrong with this moment right now without the story in your mind? What is wrong with this timeless present moment if you pause the thought? There are not two. There is nothing simpler than one. This surrender is not passive resignation, but an active embrace of the flow of life. It's about trusting the intelligence of the universe and allowing things to unfold as they are meant to. It's about recognizing that we are not separate from the universe, but an integral part of it, and that our true nature is one of effortless being. So, if you haven't gotten the joke yet, don't despair. Keep questioning, keep inquiring, and keep laughing. The end of this transformation is an enlightenment that happens by itself. You will not be a better person than before. You realize this as you settle in with simplicity. You will start to see there is nowhere to go and no one to be. You will be done when you are free from the illusion of separation. You will realize that there is nobody left to ask any questions. There will be no redundancy or process. The doubts will be over. Remember, this message of freedom is for everyone. No one is higher or lower in this. This is not about destroying the I thought. It is only pointing out the falseness of the I thought, which means the notion that I exist apart from being awareness as some kind of separate entity. It is simply a matter of understanding,